Okay. Started about 3 minutes early here. So I'm gonna let the clock run out on that. Let everyone, show up who's gonna show up, and then we'll get started here. I'll put a timestamp below as to when the whole conversation actually starts tonight. But yeah, so let's just say we're yes, I'm super early, super early tonight. Well, actually, not really because I kind of pushed it back 10 minutes, but I am early on the pushback. So at least I'm here. Hey, Grace, how you doing? Oh my goodness, this thing is. We are not doing this tonight. Streamyard. Okay. Uh, hey, cool gamer, how you doing? Okay. Yeah, I'm just kind of. Yeah, it has it, and it's been hot all day. Like it's just been miserable. Hey, Juju. I got a little bit of lag going on. Hopefully that will catch up here in a minute. So this will be a two-parter because I sent instead of saving everything to the laptop, I like sent everything over to Facebook so I could just open. But for some reason, I can't get logged into Facebook right now. Like I keep getting an error message. Don't know what's going on with that. So um, I will have another stream show some documents that I want to show. Um, so or I will actually try to show them tonight if I can, because I may be able to email them over real quick or just pull them up because a lot of it's public record now, and well, a lot of it would have been public record anyway. But so yeah, it may be a two-parter. Plus, I kind of want to keep this at an hour tonight because Claire is streaming, and I know, right? It's not normal, but I do want to finish up to where we can head over to Claire's because I was looking forward to that stream too. And then I after I scheduled it, I remembered Claire was also streaming. That's why I went so early because I didn't want to be streaming in the middle of her stream, especially when it's a stream I want to be there. So yeah, that. So we probably won't see Fishnerd and Sean. I know he said they had well, he had a fish club meeting. I'm not sure if Sean was with him, but if they're together, then they probably won't be here, and that's cool because it is way early for me to be streaming, and maybe that was the plan because I knew a whole bunch of people wouldn't show up if it was really early, that kind of thing. But this is actually something that I've been wanting to get off my chest and kind of put to rest for a very long time now, and it kind of will explain why I get so heated about certain people, and especially when they've done certain things and they just brush it over like it's not anything bad to have happened, when in actuality it's a really shitty thing to have done. But it is what it is. But this will explain that, and it'll all make sense. I know, like I have yet to go to my first fish club meeting, and I am so ready to go to a fish club meeting. But I have to switch my doctor appointment day so I because they always have it on the same Saturday, and I can't make both. So that sucks. Okay. Well, it's almost 5 minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So, I come from a family of technically. Oh no, did you lose me? Hello? Sure. Okay. So I come from a family of essentially um, six, a family of six. Um, I have a half sister from my dad's previous marriage, from his first marriage. And then when him and my mom got married, they had five, yeah, five children together. So I have five siblings. I'm number six. I didn't know that I even had three of my siblings until 1989. And it was a not so fun way to find out that you have siblings. I was in, I believe, fifth or sixth grade. I think it was fifth grade. And we'd gotten a call from Texas. One of my uncles had passed away. And there was going to be a funeral. So my mom got a hold of my dad in Georgia, um, and told him, hey, your brother passed away, and we need to go to the funeral. So the next night or morning, we're gonna say morning, but it was like after midnight. So the next morning, my dad shows up in Georgia. We all pack up, and before 8 a.m., we hit the road to go to West Texas. We get to West Texas and we stay with one of my aunts, and then the funeral service happens. And this is like, it's kind of like after this, I kind of don't remember what happened because it was just like I remember that day, but I don't remember the rest of that day. And they're at the cemetery plot because we went from the church to the plot and had the service. As we ride there, everyone's like line of cars. We get there and I kind of wander off. And my family plot is in McCamey, Texas. And there are rows upon rows of family members in there because my dad had 12 siblings. He was number 30. He was number 7 because my grandmother had 3, my grandfather had 3, they got married, had my dad, and then had 6 more. Um, so as I'm walking down the cemetery plot and seeing the dates, and some of these dates are quite old. Like my grandfather was born in 1878 or 1887. I always mix those up. And my grandmother was 20 years younger than him. And at this point, they had both been deceased. But I keep walking down, and I get to our part of the cemetery plot, and I see my dad's name, and I see my mom's name, and obviously I know, you have the date of birth, and they fill in the date of death when you pass away. I was old enough to know that much. And I'm walking, and I see mom, I see dad, and then I see my name, and then I see another name, and it's William, and I'm like, okay. Then I see my sister's name, and then I see my other sister's name, and at the very last one, I see my name again. And I stop and I go back and I look at that first name and I realize there is a birth date that was not mine, and there was you know, the date of passing on there again, which was before I was born. And then I go and I look at mine, and the last one has my name and my birth date, but no finish date. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And about that time, someone came and got me, and it confused me, and I had questions because I'm like, why are there two? two mousies there, Like, I don't understand that. Like, there should not be two of them. How does that work? So I guess I waited till the car ride home to ask anyone, which was good because my mom and dad were in a car and I was in the car with my sisters because my oldest sister could drive. And that's when I found out that we had brothers. We we had two brothers actually, and that we had an older sister. And that only my older sister was still alive. My what would be my oldest brother, which me and him shared the same name, which was really weird because why do you, yeah, again, not comprehending what's going on here. I'm just like, this is kind of crazy, but okay. And they were like, yeah, we had two brothers, they died. I don't get much more of the story. In 1989, I think I was 11 years old. And I would get bits and pieces of it, but I would never get the full story. Like, I found out that they were 4 and 5 when they passed away. And I would, find out that, one passed away on Good Friday and the other one passed away on Easter Sunday. And we pretty much never celebrated Easter. Like, we just didn't. My mom, I don't know. Again, when I found out, I was young. I didn't ask a lot of questions. But when I was 19, I would pretty much find out the whole story. Because I kind of took off from my ex husband on Good Friday. I didn't tell my mom. My mom didn't know where I was. And it kind of like freaked her out. So what had happened was, we're going to back up to 1966. Let me verify these dates, even if I can't share them right now. I will verify these dates. But I believe it was April 8th, 1966. My mom and dad had decided that they were going to go shopping, Easter shopping. There were sales, uh, get presents for the boys, and they had gotten a family friend and her husband to watch the boys um, while while they went, while they went and did the shopping, while they went shopping, and if I'm sure they'd known, they'd have made different choices. But how do you know? They didn't know. Hey, Mrs. C. Hey, Fish Nerd. Um, but they left and they went and did their thing. Later that day, the lady's husband, who was watching them, decided he wanted to go fishing. He probably, from what my parents found out, had a full bottle of Jack at the time. I don't know the size. No one ever told me that. But he had a lot of Jack Daniels that day. And apparently he did this every day. And decided he wanted to go fishing. And he's got two little boys there that they have to entertain. So he's going to take the two little boys fishing with him. And in 1966, they did not have car seats. My brothers were 4 and 5 years old. They were loaded up into a truck and off they went. Port News, Virginia. And he was drunk. He was really drunk. And he went around a curve. And he went around that curve way too fast. Yeah, I don't even know if the truck they were in had seatbelts at this point in time, because a lot of cars still didn't. He crashed the truck, and the youngest of the two, William, was killed instantly, right then and there. There was no saving him. The older boy, we'll just call him Mouse, and he didn't get so lucky. He was taken to the hospital, and he lived for 2 more days, and he passed away on Easter Sunday. And that it kind of ruined my whole parents' life at that point. They had bought a house in Virginia, and you know they were making payments on their house. My dad was working, my mom wasn't, and all of a sudden they have to bury their 2 children, not just one but both. My mom blamed herself and said it was because she didn't put up a Christmas tree. She didn't do things. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. Essentially, at this point, my mom had become angry, trying to find things to blame. Yes, they were ages 4 and 5. Um, I think they had like little over like 9 months between the two. I'm not sure exactly. I have to go and look at their birthdays again. But yes, they were um, 4 and 5. Again, you know what? I need to pull up these dates again because that I do have. They obviously my dad's side of the family. My mom's sister came, and they took the boys to Texas to our home plot in McCamey, Texas, and had a funeral. And it bankrupted them. And the guy that did it walked away. He wasn't injured. He wasn't hurt. And it was an accident. He wasn't charged with anything because drinking and driving at that point was not a, like serious crime. It was not. I don't want to say it was illegal. Like I know if you were caught drinking and driving, they obviously didn't let you, but they weren't actively like looking for drunk drivers. It's not like it is now. Um, but yeah, the guy didn't get any charges, and um, had no repercussions from having this accident and taking the lives of 2 little boys. He was still free to go back and drink. I was actually born. My sister was born. My older sister was born in '69, and then my middle sister was born in '74, and I was born in '79. And I was their last attempt at having another little boy. When my mom had me, she was told by doctors, you can't keep doing this. She'd had several miscarriages between having my sister and having me. She was told not to even have me, and she told them, screw you, I'm having this kid. Afterwards, she would decide, that they were right. She couldn't keep doing this to herself, so she stopped trying, and she had a tubal ligation. But she did blame herself, and then she blamed God, and then she stopped going to church, and we stopped celebrating holidays. We celebrated Christmas only because my mom felt like because she didn't celebrate Christmas is why my brothers died. My brothers died because some asshole decided to get drunk and put those little boys in a truck. That's what happened. And she would always resent her sister, my aunt, because right after they passed away, my mom had my older sister, and then my aunt had a son. And she was trying to have another little boy, and it didn't happen. And they would move around. My mom would essentially work herself to death because she never coped with it. She never properly mourned it. And I think she was kind of mad because, you know, her sons died and there were no repercussions from it. I do have the newspaper article from that day. I can't pull it up because my sister had posted it on Facebook, which is kind of what triggered me to make this stream because my parents have both passed away and they are no longer here. And I like to think that wherever my brothers are, that's where they're at, that they are with them and they are, you know, happy to get to see them again. Unfortunately, I don't know my brothers. I never knew my brothers. I used to be angry because I had cousins um, who knew them, and that my oldest sister, my oldest half sister, knew them. And I didn't. I did resent them for that because that was taken from me. And then I became bitter because my mom was bitter and she was always bitter about it. And she would never talk about it. My dad was pretty much the one who would give me bits and pieces of information through the years. But again, I didn't get the whole story until I was 19. I didn't know the date it happened. I didn't, didn't know the reason why it happened. So it became a thing like, on Good Friday and Easter Sunday, you make sure you call mom because otherwise mom is going to freak out and she's going to come looking for you. So you had to make sure she knew where you were and that you were okay. And then it passed on to me. Um, I had my kids and, things like Easter would roll around and we never celebrated it. And my one of my sisters would always kind of, and this is going to sound wrong, but she would always make posts or talk about it, and it would always be like she was a huge victim because, again, she didn't know my brothers either. And, you know, all of my siblings got robbed of that except for one. And we didn't even know her. I've talked to my half sister one time before she passed away. So it is what it is. It was a messed up family tragedy that happened to my parents, and yet we took on their grief and their bitter. Oh, April, it's sorry. It's all right. You don't have to be sorry. This really isn't for everyone. Um, you know, it really isn't. So if you can't, I'll see you next time, sweetie. It's fine. Talking about it is pretty much like the one thing. My goal for even talking about this is there are people that go out and unfortunately they drink and drive, and either they lose a life or they cause someone else to lose a life, and it doesn't have to happen. Again, Christola, it's fine. I completely understand. Again, it's not for everyone. Um, but I came to a realization this past Easter. My sister was given the newspaper clippings and all of the pictures that my aunt, my only living aunt in Texas, had, and she used it and she posted it and she just brought it up for everyone again. And it's not like, I would have loved to have had my brothers. I would have loved to have known my brothers. And I didn't get that chance. But I can't sit here and be angry at a man who made a stupid decision for the rest of my life. I really can't. And I'm not going to anymore. It's it's not doing anything but hurting my family for me not to move on. And for me not to say, you know what? Yes, I lost out on my brothers and I can't let it ruin my life anymore. So I'm not going to do that anymore. Um, I will probably, put my family together a tribute video, because we do have, documentation and stuff now that we didn't have before. I was able to find their birth and death certificates. We have the newspaper clippings now, and um, you know, it wasn't fair to my children. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to my sisters. And again, my mom and dad have already passed on. I can't beat myself up anymore. I am horribly angry that people do drink and drive and they don't realize the consequences. And when they get a DUI, they brush it off because it's not funny, it's not a joke, and people lose their lives. And they don't have to. And I'm sure if this happened to my family, it's happened to others. So, for the sake of it, for the sake of, what little family I have left, I'm done. I'm done talking about it. I'm not going to sit around and mope and, let everyone walk on eggshells around me, because what is that doing? It's not doing anything but hurting them too. So it's time to end that. Yes, it is time to move forward. Um, and you're right, Grace. Holding on to it, it's letting them get away with it. Heck, the man who did it, he's not even alive anymore. So there's no one to blame anymore. There's the people who grieved it most are gone. I'm sitting here mourning a ghost. And I know that could sound insensitive, but I never met them. It's hard to, you know, I mourned for my parents, really. That I'm guess that's what I did most. And I've mourned my parents passing. My mom has been gone 13 years this year, and my dad passed away in 97. Um, so, yeah, I mean, there's just nothing else to hold on to for me. And, will I always, say, hey, tell my kids don't drink and drive? Absolutely. Because they shouldn't. No one should. It's not safe. It's not going to do anything but hurt you or others or both. But it will ruin lives, and it will ruin generations of lives because it's going to get passed down. You know, and it also had to be hard for my parents too. Like, I couldn't understand. My mom had this thing where she named all of her kids after someone. So my oldest brother was named after my dad. My younger brother was named after our grandfathers. My older sister was named after my aunt. The only one we still have alive, by the way. And my other sister, my middle sister, was named after my cousin. And I was named after my brother. With me, it's kind of like, she always looked at me kind of like as if I was him. It's weird. I know that sounds really weird, but like I said, my mom held on to it. My dad made some claims when I was younger, about what had happened to the man, and I'm not going to repeat them because I don't have any way of verifying if it was true. So we're just not going to talk about that because I don't know. I can't say it's a factual thing that happened, and or just something he wanted to happen. So yeah, and you know, even that is hard for people to get over. Oh, it's okay, AC. I'm pretty much, done with like the bulk of telling, what had happened. But, there's more involved into like the little details of, what happened that day, what happened the days after. But I think my mom, had she had the technology that we have now and could have spoke to other people about what happened, she might have moved on. Um, you know, um, I and that something else that I never understood was my mom didn't like people who would drink alcohol. It wasn't the fact that you can still drink alcohol. You just have to do it responsibly. And my mom never thought that anyone could. And she never went and looked at the bright side of situations that happened because of it. Oh, I appreciate y'all coming to listen and hanging out here while I talk about this, um, because it has been hard. I it just it has. It's been 45 years of my life have been essentially, even when I didn't know it, about mourning two people I never knew. And I should have known them. Oh, well, I love you guys too. I do appreciate y'all being here. And I got really mad a couple of years ago when she who shall not be named had posted that, or it had come out that she'd had a DUI. And it was like, oh, no big deal. It was a DUI. It is a big deal. Because just because you got that DUI and no one got hurt didn't mean that if you did it again, you'd have the same outcome. But I can't be angry all the time about it. And maybe, because I have always said I am a horrible grudge keeper. Like, I get a grudge, I keep a grudge, and I don't let it go. And I really think this is why. This is why I am the way I am. It is, and it is very expensive to keep doing it. Um, and you're right. It affected me because it ruined my parents. It ruined their lives. And I commend them for staying married and having more kids, because a lot of times when couples lose children, it also ruins their relationship. They never get it back. But in a way, it kind of did too, because when we moved to Alabama when I was 5 ish, my dad moved to Georgia, and we saw him like twice a month. But at least we saw him. He was always there for us. He worked for us. You know, my dad was a good guy. He'd give anyone the shirt off his back if they needed help, and taught me to help others. And that's something I've held on to. But then, you know, it's like there's this little dark piece here that's just been festering. And then it hit me when, like I said, my sister made that post. It did. It hit me. It's like, you want sympathy for what happened. And sure, it sucked. And yes, it affected us. But it doesn't have to anymore. You know, you can, you don't have to sit there and make a long dramatic post, because laws did change. And I'm fairly sure that even though it was maybe indirectly, when they went and looked at, drinking and driving and the lives that are taken, that was included. And yeah, it's, you know, again, like I was saying, if my mom had had the technology then that we have now, I'm sure she could have probably used that for some good, and maybe it wouldn't have eaten at her. But I don't know, and I'm never going to know. And I can't keep doing the what ifs anymore. And that actually makes a lot of sense right there, because there's some reason, if people are doing something that, does it give them a pass to continue to act that way? No. But I'm not going to keep holding on to grudges anymore. I'm not going to, make any posts, like on this day, because it's not changing anything, and it's not making anyone feel better. And honestly, I'm sure my parents would want us to live our lives and be happy than be bitter. And that's where, that's what I'm going to do with it. I'm not going to be bitter anymore. Yeah, everyone is a little messed up there. Like we all have things that have happened to us. No one's no one's above it, no one's below it. Um, but if you don't acknowledge it and you don't say, "Hey," if you can't find out why you're acting a certain way and correct it, then I really don't. This is my opinion. I just don't feel that you can ever truly be happy. And I really do, just by talking about it and ending it now. Like, this is my last stand on it. My sister wants to go and post things, she can do that. But I'm not. I'm not going to react to it anymore. I'm not going to continue it. It's time to let it go. Now, I will, still be like, hey, you shouldn't drink and drive because you shouldn't drink and drive. But yeah, but yeah, I can see how it made my mom a very bitter person. I see now why she held on to those grudges the way she did, and I'm glad she doesn't have to anyway. She doesn't have to anymore. Um, and my dad, before the accident, my dad was a drinker. My dad would drink a lot of alcohol. I don't know what his drink of choice was because I never saw him drink. But my aunts have told me stories. And if this wouldn't have happened, my dad would have probably ended up an alcoholic. Oh, thank you, Juju, and thank you, AC. It's been hard holding that in and keeping it going. Year after year after year. I understood like the first couple of years after our parents passed away, why we kind of like all got together and we hung out, and we kind of we didn't. That was like a day we didn't work, and the longer we kept doing it, and when my mother passed away, I went to grief counseling, and I really think this is why I feel the way I do today. Because if I hadn't gone to grief counseling, it would have spun out of control like it did when my father died. When my dad died, I I gave up. I was like, you know what? He's gone. Screw it. The risk seeking behavior like kicked in, and because I didn't know how to cope with it, because my parents didn't know how to cope with it, and then my mom passed away. I went to grief counseling, and I learned, how to handle it, how to process it, how to still feel the feelings, not to numb them off or wall them off, and that it was going to take time. Well, it's time. It's time to let it go. It's time to stop holding on to it. I will always miss them. I will always miss my parents. I will always be sad I never had brothers. But I'm not gonna take um I'm not going to exploit it. I'm not going to be like, oh, poor pitiful me. Um, again, like some of my other family members have, and I hope one day my sister can get past it. That she can realize that it's well in the past. There will never be anything that can nothing can change from it that hasn't already changed. Laws are in place. You know, I'm sure people still, get DUIs, and there probably will, but at least we have that instead of back in the day and a time when we didn't. So yeah, that's what I've got. Again, like I said, I'm would like put a little video together for her. Um, I might like share it with y'all for a while after I get it put together, like get all the documents together. And my aunt is writing me a letter of like her memory of what happened. So we have like she's the last person that was alive that was there. So we have that accounting, and we can say, hey, this happened, and we can move on from it. So yeah, I tried to put it together a little better. I know I was a little all over the place, but I'll get better at it one day. Um, Now, I also plan on doing like another one of these, but it's not gonna be so sad. In July, um, I gotta stop saying. I totally do that too much. So we got in about half an hour. Claire's gonna stream, and I'm sure we all need some giggles and laughs after my big old Debbie Downer here. Um, but hey, I'm not gonna be talking about it anymore. um, no, I mean, again, I'm not trying to seem insensitive. It just doesn't hurt anymore. I hope so. I hope so. And so I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. That's another one I do. I do the yeah and the ums. And it's like, at least now I'm aware I'm doing it. Thank you, Fish Nerd. I appreciate it. Um, Now I know after this happened with my family, like we all became like very aware of like you don't get in the car and drink. Like even a lot of my family members, I think we only had one who got a DUI after that. Oh, maybe games. We could use some games. Oh, well, maybe we can do it another night. Yeah. And I do still, I wish my kids would have had their uncles. Um, but they had their aunts, and at least they had family. We may not all be here, if that wouldn't have happened either. We just don't know. So it is nice to say, that this is the last time I'm going to make a big, to do about it. Yeah, because I am not going to stream tomorrow night. Um, there, go do it again. Oh no. Uh, Yeah, if y'all, because like I said, I'm not gonna stream tomorrow. Me and Mr. Mousy are gonna have some dinner together, but that's all we're doing. He has to work Monday. I thought he was gonna be off for Juneteenth, but it turns out he got picked to work again. So it is what it is. He's gonna work. It's gonna be fine. He'll be in bed about 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'll just be chilling. So, but I'd already decided not to stream. Oh, you're working Monday. Yeah. His other job, like anytime there was a bank or government holiday, they shut down. um, Pretty much because they didn't. They worked around the postal. Oh, sorry. They worked around the postal service and the Federal Reserve, and those were both closed. So, um, tomorrow we are doing a crab boil for Mr. Mousy. I told him I would cook him a steak, but I kind of cook steak a lot anyway. So he was like, "No, I want some crab and shrimp." And so we're gonna do like a big old fashioned crab boil. We got shrimp, we got um, crab legs, sausage. Um, he either got mussels or crawfish. I have to check. Um, Potatoes, corn. Yeah, whole big pot of everything. So yeah, and I really think because we were talking about Louisiana AC, and I think that's kind of why he wanted to do that. And I got a kiddo that's looming over me. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up and go ahead and grab a drink and get ready for Claire's stream, y'all. But I will see y'all in a little while, and y'all schedule games tomorrow. I'm there because games are fun. Games are fun. All right, I'll see y'all later. Bye.